The U.S. military orders thousands more troops to the southern border. This is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's go and check this out immediately. Let's see what this takes us, guys.
We're starting to see President Donald Trump's immigration policies go into effect. Officials tell CNN that the U.S. military is sending thousands of additional troops to the southern U.S. border. This comes just 2 days after President Trump ordered the military to step up its presence there. About 2,200 active duty forces are already at the border as part of Joint Task Force North. They're mostly performing support roles for Customs and Border Patrol.
Okay.
Officials say the new arrivals will be doing much of the same, as they're not authorized to perform any sort of law enforcement role. Let's bring in Natasha Bertrand, who's at the Pentagon.
All right, so basically they're just there to basically, as a show of force. Because if they can't do anything, which obviously legally they cannot, they should not be able to do anything in this context. But if they are there, they will definitely deter, right? So that's a good thing, absolutely.
Again, for us, so Natasha,
they're going to
know
melt,
at this
though.
point?
Yeah, Zane, so we know at this point that the U.S. military is ordering thousands of additional active duty troops to the border to augment Customs and Border Patrol activities and mission operations down there. But they're not going to be engaged in any kind of law enforcement role, because that is actually banned by a centuries-old law called Posse Comitatus, which prevents the U.S. military from being used domestically for law enforcement purposes. So they're primarily going to be, doing things like data entry, transportation of migrants around different facilities, intelligence support, as well as some additional support in air operations. But they're not going to be engaging extensively in the day-to-day with migrants. But still, this is significant because it does make good on President Trump's promise just earlier this week that he is going to augment the presence of the U.S. military at the border. Now, as you said, there are roughly 2,200 active duty troops already at the border, and they are supported by Texas National Guard contingent there. And so what this is going to do is essentially lay the groundwork, we're told, for an even bigger military footprint to be sent in the coming weeks and months to the border. This is not, something that the president can, just in terms of ordering them to engage in law enforcement functions. This is something that the president has the authority to do under the Insurrection Act. And he has said, in an executive order issued Monday, that if within 90 days he and the Secretary of Defense determine that the border is not under control and that more resources need to be used to control the flow of migrants across the border, then he can invoke the Insurrection Act, which would then allow the U.S. military to perform those law enforcement functions like arrests, searches, and seizures, as well as seizing drugs. And so this is something that we need to watch for. But for now, this is really just President Trump and the Department of Defense making good on their promise to augment, Customs and Border Patrol, as well as DHS more broadly, their resources at the southern border, as they have been stretched thin in recent years with the ongoing flow of migrants across the U.S.-Mexico border, Zane.
Okay, guys, so here's the thing. I wanted to make sure we kind of got all the information from her. Bro, Trump is embarrassing Biden on the border, guys. He's making it look like Biden did nothing, and that's kind of the case, to be honest. Biden spent more time in South America, Central America, like they're trying to kind of fix the root cause, but you left the border open, bro. You did that, okay? Trump stepped in and is basically like, listen, we're going to go ahead and do all of these things. I'm also going to forecast that if all it takes is the Insurrection Act, then that's exactly what's going to happen. Like, if you are putting all these people down at the border right now, then we can almost forecast, guarantee that's what's going to happen at some time. Okay. All right. But let's go ahead and check it out.
All right, Natasha Bertrand, live for us there. Thank you so much. All right, Donald Trump's new border czar says that deportation operations have actually already begun. Tom Homan told Fox News earlier that ICE agents arrested 308 serious criminals in the past 24 hours. The president says that ICE agents can now make arrests at churches and at schools, which were previously considered off limits because they are sensitive places. Julius Vargas joins us live now from the U.S.-Mexican border in California, which is, of course, ground zero for the immigration battle. So, Julia, just the fact that these raids, this rounding up of undocumented immigrants, these arrests have actually already begun. Just talk us through what the reaction is where you are, especially because California is a sanctuary state.
Yeah, exactly, Zane. Look, people are scared. We're talking to folks who are saying it's fear and uncertainty. That's what's being brought here, both for people who are in the immigration system. So folks who are already in the process, who have a piece of paper, Zane, that says that they can stay in the United States through their immigration process. They are quite fearful at this point because they don't know what will happen. There's just been so many changes. And yes, California is a sanctuary state. It's also home to dozens of sanctuary cities. But at this point, people don't know, and officials here don't know. People who work with migrants don't know what will come of this. There's just been too much so quickly. We spoke yesterday with a family from Venezuela who came over and who said, look, yes, we got our appointment for asylum. We had our initial interview, but we don't know if this program will even be standing by the time that we get to the end of this process. And another thing that happened that I think is important to note is that these organizations along here, the southern border in California, who have been working in partnership with federal authorities like Catholic Charities, which we visited yesterday, and we spoke with the CEO, who told us, look, they're saying they're not going to release migrants to our care any longer. So it raises a lot of questions of what will happen to these people. He said to us since 2021, once the Remain in Mexico policy was lifted and migrants started to be able to stay in the United States while they waited for their date in court, they have been key to helping about 400,000 people to get on their way in the United States to make it to their date in court. And now where will they go? Will they be held in detention centers here in the United States? Will they be dropped off in these cities across the U.S. border to be on their own, or will they be told to stay in Mexico? All of this just adding to the uncertainty, Zane, that we're feeling here at the U.S.-Mexico border.
Okay, well, here's the thing. If these individuals are, in fact, qualified to be I guess, accepted underneath the asylum seeking process, then that's all fine and dandy, I'd say, right? But unfortunately, we all know that's not the case, guys. So you're asking us to just take in people just because they want to come here, guys. That's not a reality of the situation here. Like, what are they offering to be able to come here, guys? I'm sorry, bro. I have no problem with asylum. I have no problem with the concept of refugees, et cetera, right? But when it comes down to the concept of fraud or entering into the country in an illegal manner, I'm not really partial to that, guys. I mean, we have a country of laws, okay? We do. And I think everyone has to basically adhere to to all of these laws that basically make up our current contemporary social contract, guys, right? I get it. It looks bad. But also at the same time, guys, I'm not really a super fan of Remain in Mexico because that really was not like a great idea, I think. How about this here? I think it started as a great idea, but it ended being completely terrible because there was a lot of forceful, we can't say the word anymore, guys. I mean, there's a lot of like forceful taking of other people's bodies, let's say, that was occurring a whole lot, and along with a lot of criminality, theft. It was incredibly dangerous to hold people in that situation. I do personally think that if they are, if they actually do fall under the asylum process, they should be brought here, right? If you do not, then I'm not sure you should have any special treatment. You should go through the rest, through the same process that the rest of the immigrants have gone through. You should not be able to be fast-tracked by breaking the law, guys. It's not something that makes any sense in the world. There are people who have been waiting for their green card for 13, 14, 15 years, guys, all right? Why are the ones who are breaking the law, committing asylum fraud, able to enter in and start working almost immediately at times, at least a year, guys, right? In some places. Why is that? But all right, let's go. Let's check it out. Let's finish it up.
President Donald Trump's promise of mass deportations in the U.S.
So many
is
questions.
causing panic and anxiety among immigrant communities. His administration issuing new directives, including one that allows immigration authorities to arrest people near and inside places previously considered off limits, and that includes schools and churches. Yeah,
there should be no sanctuary states or sanctuary cities, and I think if you are are basically conducting one of these things, you should have your federal funding taken away.
Lavandera visited one Texas city that's now preparing for raids.
Good morning, Cactus Elementary!
Every school day at Cactus Elementary starts like this. Moments of patriotism and reflection with a high-energy dose of inspiration from Principal T.J. Funderburg.
Why are we here?
You do that every morning?
Yes, sir.
When I looked out on the student body this morning, I mean, it's quite something to think that we're in the Texas Panhandle, and that's what your student body looks like.
It's always very eye-opening to people that come here. We've got 13, 14 different languages, all these different cultures represented. And yeah, we're up here in the heart of the Texas Panhandle. Everybody think it'd be farm and ranching country and kids in cowboy hats, and we've got just about a little bit of everything.
The population in Cactus, Texas is about 3,000 people, but the diversity is staggering. There's an African restaurant, safari restaurant and halal meat. There's an Asian grocery store. There's a Mexican butcher shop. There's a Guatemalan grocery. There's also an Islamic center. What draws so
What's the problem?
many immigrants and migrants here to a community like this is the work, and it is brutal, back-breaking work. There is a meat processing plant that runs 24 hours a day. There are dairy farms that run nonstop.
These are the kinds of jobs that the United States economy and food supply rely on every day. It's also the kind of work that only immigrants, by and large, are willing to do.
Right.
There
That
are
happens.
towns like Cactus, Texas, all over the country. And with President Donald Trump promising to carry out mass deportations, a sense of fear and uncertainty looms over these streets.
What do you
I mean, as long as people are legal, guys, they're here for legal purposes. The people who have opened these businesses are all legal. So, like, what is the issue here? If you are a criminal, then you shouldn't be here. I don't get it, to be honest.
you hearing specifically from people?
Like, if you are here under
they're scared.
asylum fraud,
They don't know if they're gonna be able to stay here. You know, a lot of them have been here for decades. They've built their lives here. Their kids are here. You know, everyone they know is here.
Elizabeth Oliveros grew up in Cactus, the daughter of immigrants who became citizens and earned their living working in the city's meat processing plant.
Respect.
She went away to college, became a lawyer, and moved back to Cactus to work as an immigration attorney.
And if there were to be mass deportations here in this city, what would happen to it?
It'd be quite empty.
Oh, so you're basically admitting that the majority of the city itself, the town itself, is here illegally. Why are you supporting the concept of illegal anything? You're a lawyer. That's weird. But either way.
I think there's a lot of people here that don't have status, that keep a lot of the businesses, the smaller businesses around here running. So if immigrants leave, I don't know where they're gonna find workers as hardworking as some of the immigrants.
As we walked the streets of Cactus, it was clear that most residents, regardless of their immigration status, didn't want to speak with us on camera, and especially didn't want to talk about President Trump's deportation dreams.
You know, I don't like politics. I don't like.
The fear among many in this town and other agricultural communities across the country is that vital food production would be paralyzed and communities torn apart. The meat processing plant here says it only hires people authorized to work. Under different management in 2006, the plant was raided by immigration authorities.
You know.
About 300 people suspected of identity theft or being in the country illegally were detained, many of them deported. Elizabeth Oliveros remembers the day clearly.
I was in elementary school, and I remember they had to keep us because they didn't know how many of us, our parents were gone. And a lot of my friends, their parents were gone.
Okay.
They got deported.
9.
The children at Cactus Elementary are mostly oblivious to the political storms brewing outside these school walls. Principal T.J. Funderburg is bracing for whatever comes next.
It's just the unknown that scares me to death.
He says as many as half the kids in the school could have undocumented family members. These are the kinds of places where the reality of mass deportations could play out.
To the people who are going to be making these decisions about deportations, whether it's mass deportations, just broad or targeted, what's your message to them?
Just, I mean, come talk to me. come meet these kids.
What does this have? Talking to you is going to benefit what exactly?
I think, I know there has to be rules, there has to be checks, there has to be balances.
Yeah, bro, don't talk about rules, and you're completely fine with the concept of harboring people that are broken the law. I'm not specifically talking about the kids. I generally leave kids out of every single scenario, guys. Leave the kids alone, guys. They had no say in where they are currently. That's not me, bro. But the people who did this, you seem to be completely fine with them breaking rules, basically trespassing on the United States southern border. And you're completely fine with it, bro. Talking to you is going to benefit what? Contradictions? That's all we're going to get, guys. Contradictions. There has to be rules. You don't care about rules, bro. If you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
There has to be rules. There has to be checks. There has to be balances. But it can't just be paper. This community of people that have come together, that are here now from all these different countries, all these different places. We can do amazing things.
Guys, all right. Okay, here's the thing. All right, so I have many immigrants in my family, guys, like many of them. Everyone has done everything completely legal. I've immigrated onto 2 separate continents, Europe, which I'm a resident, and South Korea, guys. All right, so I understand the concept of immigrating. I also understand of the concept of not going to a country and specifically being there illegal. That's craziness, bro. It's wild. I don't fully understand. We're like the only country that's expected to basically accept it because everyone else around the world basically sees all the imagery and they're just like, America's so terrible because of this and this and this. It's like, guys, what are you talking about? We're the only ones that are expected to take the world's population. That's nuts, bro. Now, how Biden was actually doing it was probably a longer lasting way of doing things. I'll give him that, absolutely. By going specifically to the countries that were where the people were basically running from and coming to the United States of America. Go there, start at the source, fix the issues, give grants, et cetera, right? But he completely left the border open, bro. And now what people care about are the kind of like the end point of things, let's say, guys, right? And if you're not going to be able to deliver any like visible changes, then people are going to think you're doing nothing. And that's just the reason why everyone thinks Biden and Kamala did nothing in terms of immigration, because they didn't fix the thing that we see, okay? Trump is going straight at the thing that we see, but I'm not actually 100% sure it's going to stop. By putting military there at the border itself, that is intelligent, absolutely. People will see it. The cartels will stop kind of making moves towards that area. But without the Insurrection Act, they really can't do anything. They're just basically watchers, similar to what the governor of New York did in the New York subways by putting the National Guard in the New York subways to kind of stop criminality. You get what I mean here? But yet they couldn't do anything. They're just like a vanity project type of thing, guys. And I don't like the concept of using the military, and by any means it's just that. But for those that are not in the know, they'll see it and they'll be like, let's not go that way because the military there, referring to the individuals that are actively breaking the law by breaking into the United States of America. I can't think of another case where people are just completely this fine with the concept of trespassing. I don't grasp it. I cannot put it together, bro. Again, no problem at all under any circumstance with the concept of a refugee. I think we have enough money to be able to help the people who actually need help, not the ones who are taking advantage of our flawed system. 80 to 90% of the individuals that came into this country in an illegal manner need to be sent back, bro. They're all taken advantage of. The kindness of the United States of America by attempting to go for asylum fraud, basically attempting to go for asylum. They don't qualify for asylum, but you know what? Whatever, guys. Get rid of these individuals, all of them. No, bro. Okay. But either way, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. The fact that you just made it to the end of the video says a whole lot, actually. We have a couple other channels. MrLboyd Music, MrLboyd Movie Reacts, along with MrLboyd Discusses, where I just generally speak about the things that specifically matter to me. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys later.